Hey YouTube, BR1255 here. Today I am reviewing Linux Mint 17. You will notice that this is not the default screen or desktop that you'll get after a fresh installation. That's because I'm actually showing you my everyday, how I use it desktop. I've had this about a week. I actually upgraded the day it came out. I believe it was last Saturday. And I've done some desktop tweaks here and there to get it to the way that I like it. So you're not, just caveat up front, you're not going to get this desktop up front. So Linux Mint 17, what's new? Honestly, not much. If you are a Linux Mint 16 user, you will not really see too much new or different with Linux Mint 17. You will see some things like the Mint updater and the systems and the Mint settings behave a little bit differently, but overall they are usage improvements and nothing terribly exciting. But it does make things. It just adds polish to what I consider an already great operating system. So what do you get with Linux Mint 17? Well, you get long-term support. Linux Mint 17 will be supported by the Mint team until 2019. With Linux Mint, the Mint team has also introduced a new release model. The next, I think, 4 releases that you see from Linux Mint will not be based on the current Ubuntu release at the time, as has been in the past. Instead, they will continue. There'll be point releases based upon Ubuntu 14.04. So we're not going to see Linux Mint 18 probably for 2 years when the next Ubuntu long-term support operating system rolls out. So let me show you a couple of the minor differences between Mint 16 and Mint 17 that I have noticed. One, the Mint updater behaves a little bit differently. Instead of asking you for your administrator password when you launch it, it waits until you click Install Updates, and then it will prompt you for your administrator password. It also handles kernel updates a little bit differently as well. If you click on the View menu if you click on the View menu, you'll see an entry for Linux kernels. You click on that, and it's going to open this up, and it'll show you kernels that you have on your system. I did an in-place upgrade, so that's why the kernel for Linux Mint 16 3.11 is still there. Anyway, this is where you can see your upgrades, and I can see that there is 3.13 0-29 available for installation. So I think that's maybe a little bit saner method, because previously they would, in order to see kernel updates, you'd have to change your Mint update settings so that you could see level 5, and those are updates that could potentially cause problems, introduce instability to the system. Kernel updates are no longer carried as level 5s. So I think I see that as an improvement. I think many will also see that as an improvement. Another minor change that really improves the usability is in the system settings and the Mint settings. If you with Linux Mint 16, they had a normal and advanced mode. I think that was confusing to many users. They have changed that. Now you only have advanced mode, and you have access to all of your system settings by default. Another improvement that I have noticed is with the combination of Cinnamon 2.2 running on top of Linux Mint 17. I noticed that it uses about 40 megabytes less system RAM to run than than Cinnamon 2.0 did on Linux Mint 16. That's on my equipment. Your mileage may vary based upon your hardware and your system configuration. Other than that, there's some other improvements as well that aren't immediately noticeable, but usability tweaks, like for example, inside the Nemo file browser. Now, if you right-click on an ISO image, you now have the option there in the Nemo menu to check the MD5 sum. So that can be quite helpful if you download a lot of ISO files. Saves you from having to open the terminal and do that sort of manually. So really, overall, just a lot of system tweaks, a lot of buffing off of the rough edges, so to speak, in Linux Mint 16 from Linux Mint 16, but nothing real, no major changes, nothing real earth-shattering. This is really a distribution version that is really aimed to get you through the long haul. Currently, right now, Linux Mint 17 is available in Cinnamon and Mate desktop editions, and both 32 and 64-bit versions. There is, from what I understand from reading the Linux Mint blog, an XFCE and KDE version will be available soon when it's ready. That's the thing about Linux Mint. They don't they release things when they're ready. They don't they don't push up against a hard and fast deadline for releasing their operating systems and their updates. So when it is released, you get a polished, finished product with most of the bugs already squashed. There may still be some bugs in there. As always, check the release notes before you install or upgrade. So, this is BR Tidwell 55 showing you my favorite distro, which is Linux Mint version 17 Qiana. Thanks for watching.